I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Matt Williamson. For those of you who may not know Matt, he's the Director of Engineering at ADF Engineering and has over 30 years of process engineering and project management experience. Matt's been published multiple times in magazines and is an internationally recognized expert on combustible dust and related regulations. He's led several projects for clients to conduct post-disaster explosion investigations, implement plant recovery strategies, develop process safety management redesigns, and developed facility PSM policies and procedures. As a leader here at ADF, Matt guides a team of engineers on a variety of process development and improvement projects in the food, feed, bioscience, and consumer product industries. Matt studied at the University of Kentucky, earning a degree in chemical engineering, is a licensed professional engineer, and is a member of the American Oil Chemist Society. So with that, I'll turn it over to Matt for today's presentation on decoding food safety requirements, which he recently spoke about at this year's annual AOCS meeting.
Thank you, Tim. As Tim mentioned, I gave this presentation recently at the Oilseeds AOCS conference. And a lot of this is a little bit geared toward oil seeds. I've gone back to try and broaden that into more of a general food safety topic. So there'll be a few places along here where I mentioned specifically to the oil seeds business. So one of the first things to point out with food safety is that food safety requirements mean different things to different industries. There is one standard regulation, but it leaves a lot of room for interpretation. Because if you're bottling a liquid, you're running a very different process than if you're trying to pelletize pet food or to make a bulk powder as a product. Maybe it's sugar, maybe it's flour. So all of these things have different requirements, and you need to treat them differently to maintain food safety requirements. The other thing you'll note is that there are different standards that may be applied for animal feed versus a pet food, for example. And you'll find these days that pet food is held to a lot of the same standards that human food is held to. And a lot of the pet food industries are trying to bring themselves up to that level of scrutiny. Solid foods, as I mentioned, very different than liquid foods. If you're in the dairy industry, you know that you have a very short shelf life material. Other short shelf life materials have a lot of issues with spoilage and contamination that make these systems very, very sensitive. And you need to deal with that in terms of the frequency of cleaning and in the design of your systems so that they are more cleanable. And I'm going to address cleanability quite a bit in this presentation. So the Food Safety Modernization Act, or FSMA, was signed into law in 2011. And the focus or the priority of FSMA is on prevention. That is to prevent food safety risks from occurring, mitigating those risks before events happen, before contamination occurs. And they go through a lot in FSMA trying to define what those risks are. And the key thing is something called a HACCP plan. And HACCP is hazard analysis and critical control points, which is a plan, something you need to go through as you are designing your facility. If you're trying to do this for an existing facility that's already been designed, you may find that it's difficult to make changes, to implement some of these things after a facility is already up and running. It also addresses anti-adulteration. And what is adulteration? Adulteration is outside contamination that may be intentional. And how do you stop an operator who has a grudge, who is leaving a company, or has some other reason for trying to intentionally contaminate a product? So I'll address some of the things that you can do for that. Allergens are another big deal.